Hi everyone, my name is Olga and welcome to my channel about expat life, living and working in Istanbul. Today I'm going to tell you about my move to Istanbul and why this place became my home. But before that, let me give you a bit of a backstory about myself. In the past 18 years before moving to Istanbul, I worked and lived in California. And during the pandemic, I've got an opportunity to work remotely. So worked remotely first from my apartment in San Francisco, then moved shortly to be with my family in Russia, and then traveled around visiting friends in different countries, including Hungary, Egypt, and Armenia. So after about a year of doing this, just needed a bit of a permanency in my life, needed to know that I have a bed in the next 2 weeks in a certain place, needed infrastructure around me, my hospitals, my bakery and coffee shops. So Istanbul was a very logical decision for me for the following reasons. Reason number one is its geographical location. Istanbul is a central location between Asia, Africa, and Europe, and it makes it a very good location to travel from and for other people to pass by. I often have my friends and family visiting, I would say once in every 2 months. People will be coming from the US traveling to Europe, or my family would be coming for a vacation from Russia, or I would have even girlfriends coming for a shopping trip. So there's always somebody passing by here, and I never felt like I'm losing network. On the contrary, I am tapping into my old networks and seeing my old friends pass by Istanbul quite often. It also makes it very easy if you are traveling elsewhere yourself. Asia has very much sensible hours as opposed to Europe and Northern America. And traveling to Europe is quite easy. My favorite country, Italy, is only about 3 hours of a airplane ride away from Istanbul. Turkey also makes quite a bit of sense if you're working remotely for an employer, let's say in Europe, where the time difference is on average about 1 to 3 hours. It is also doable if you're working with Eastern US. The hours are very much manageable. However, it may be a little bit hard if it's Central or Pacific time of the US. Reason number two is the cost of living. Istanbul, even with its really high rate of inflation, is still a very affordable city to live compared to Europe and the US. I was budgeting about $400 for rent and utilities, with a general budget for basic needs about $1,200 a month. And I'm still very much able to fit into that budget even now. Because of the cost of living, I was able to step away from my high stress corporate jobs and live a much more comfortable life where I don't have to worry about paying high mortgage fees, huge student loans, or even go out and pay for expensive cocktails. That is a huge plus for my quality of life, living in a place with lower cost. A third factor that I had to consider moving to Istanbul after visiting some Muslim countries was the fact that Turkey is a secular country. There are still very many symbols of religion in everyday life. There is a call to prayer 5 times a day that you hear from every corner of the city. There are mosques in every neighborhood. There are men and women wearing traditional clothing. But having said that, there's also enough of people who do wear everyday clothing, don't have to cover their body, and that makes me feel comfortable wearing my everyday clothing that I normally would and blend in and feel like any other person in Turkey. I'll also mention general safety. I feel very comfortable living in central part of the city as a single woman. I go to the metro or walk home at 11 p.m. at midnight and feel completely comfortable. And I personally do not experience street harassment, which I experienced much more often when I used to live in San Francisco. It's just not an everyday culture in Istanbul. It may be the case in coastal touristy towns of Turkey. However, in Istanbul, it's, in my opinion, just not that present. Above these reasons, obtaining Turkish citizenship and residency is still quite easy route for many people compared to the countries of the European Union, or let's say the Arab Emirates, which is a popular destination among some foreigners willing to relocate into the region. It was a bit easier to get touristic permit for 1 year that was based on renting an apartment or even a hotel. Those types of visas are significantly lower in number due to a high wave of immigration to the country due to the conflicts in the neighboring countries. However, Turkey is still very good option for people who are considering permanent options. You can get a permanent residency if you purchase property over $75,000 in larger metropolitan cities like Istanbul, Ankara, and Izmir, and over $50,000 if you are considering smaller towns. And Turkish citizenship, which you can get by investing into business or property in Turkey, over $400,000 is still a very competitive option due to the speed of processing and relative affordability. It's still a pretty steep ticket price for many. So that still is a very strong factor for people to relocate and obtain second or third citizenship. Last but not least is the higher quality of life that I'm able to have living in Turkey compared to the life I've had in the US. Because of the cost of labor and increased discretionary income I have, I'm able to afford things that I wasn't able to afford before. Those things are like having a private trainer, being able to afford Pilates classes, having cleaning service and delivery of food. These things all take the burden of menial tasks from your everyday life and make it that much more enjoyable. Istanbul is also a great place to attend many social and cultural events, especially in the summer. This is the city of terraces where people enjoy dining al fresco. Many music venues open up in the summer, and you're able to have a great time outside listening to a conservatory and anything up to international artists in the parks in Istanbul.
Let's also not forget that Turkey is a big tourism destination. Istanbul alone has so many activities for you to do throughout the year, but also you can visit to any of the coastal cities and towns and have a beach vacation, and also go to the mountains and have an amazing ski ride in winter. And there's everything else in between in the mid-seasons as well.
So these were my 5 reasons why I chose Istanbul to be my home. If you have questions about particulars of life in the city, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear back from you. And if you're interested in learning more about expat life in Istanbul, please subscribe to my channel. See you next time.